Hello, my name is Laura, and what I'm wanting to talk about today is 5 reasons why I think that raw vegans fail on a raw vegan diet or even a regular vegan lifestyle. So, one of the main reasons to start with that I think is the most important, so I put this one first, is I think a lot of times people don't really realize that they're not getting enough of the right kind of nutrients. And a lot of people go on vegan diets or maybe even raw vegan diets, and they aren't getting enough of one of the things I think is so important is the omegas. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that. And there are a lot of raw vegans out there that try to stress this to other people. But I think sometimes people miss some of this information and they really don't know that they need to get a lot of these things, and their body can really be suffering, and then they wind up falling back into a traditional diet, or they get convinced that they need to eat meats or fish. So I had made a video at one time that I was a pescatarian at one time, and I've also tried to be a vegan years back. I wasn't a raw vegan at that time, and I failed at that because I really believed that I was getting sick from being a vegan, because I was eating a whole different diet than this raw vegan diet that I'm eating now for the past almost 4.5 years now. So I see a lot of things out there, and this is why I decided to make this, is because I see so many people out there and so much confusion. The confusion is so many different people telling you different things, and people getting all these mixed stories about what they should and shouldn't eat, and fish has this and this doesn't have that, but this has it could really become a simple thing, becomes so confusing. And so I've seen quite a few things on veganism almost killed me. I think that stuff is what kills me the most, is because I know why this turns out to be a problem, because I have experienced all of these things before I came to raw veganism and realized what things I was missing in order to be able to maintain this lifestyle and to feel as good as I feel. So, there was actually a period of my life where I took a certain supplement that had fish or like shark something in it, and thought that my hair looked a lot better and I felt better. So I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not things in certain animal products that might have some nutrients. But that's why I did a video on why I don't eat fish anymore, because I don't choose to get my nutrients through things that cause other issues in the body, like mercury and stuff that I had going on, including parasites and, billions of other things. So there is a reason why I went raw vegan and how I figured out these things. And I figured these things out just through trial and error, reading, hearing different things. But now that I have been sustained and feel so terrific on a raw vegan life, and I hear these stories, it just absolutely horrifies me, because, these people really don't have enough knowledge to understand what they could be missing, and that they can get these things from a vegan lifestyle or a raw vegan lifestyle. They just have to know how to do it. And there is a junky way of eating probably a raw vegan lifestyle, and a junky way of eating vegan foods, and maybe even if it's not raw and you're on a vegan diet, I believe that there's ways that you can really be missing an enormous amount of nutrition if you're not doing it correctly. And, you know, I have had to listen to a lot of that because I know a lot of people who have daughters or some kind of relative that's a dietitian and argues with some of the facts that I might be missing some things. And I'm not missing anything anymore in my diet. I wouldn't be feeling as wonderful as I am if I was missing things. And so anyhow, that's just one of the things that I really think is so important, is to understand that you need to meet certain things in order to be able to feel good. And one of the things that I have been doing, and I see a lot of the raw vegans do, which is a really good thing to do, which is to take chia seeds and water and make sure that you add those to a lot of your foods, and flax seeds, which is sometimes even more important because a lot of people miss those omega-3s, which is very important, and you have to make sure you balance that out, and avocados and nines. And you know, I feel like I have a lot of those things down pat. I always take a couple of days a week, at least 4. I always make, in my little coffee grinder, I put at least a tablespoon and maybe a half or something of flaxseed and drink that down with some water. And I just feel like things like that are really, really important to do in order to be able to get the right nutrients. So that's one of the reasons. And so, like, for number 2, I put listening to your body. If you don't feel that you feel sustained or you feel good on certain foods that other people are telling you, whether it's somebody you're following on a raw food network or anything like that, don't fall into listening to other people and you're not feeling right. I mean, if you listen to them and you're feeling great, that's wonderful. But if you are not feeling right on something and somebody else is telling you on some network to do this, you don't always have to do everything that somebody says. Everybody's body is different, and people that tell you you have to do this, this, and this, and you shouldn't do that, a lot of times is setting people up for failure, I feel, because you have to listen to your body. You have to do what your body tells you. So that's the number one thing. I mean, of course, you don't want to, if it's telling you to go to McDonald's, you don't want to listen to that. I'm talking within reason that you want to stay on this lifestyle, and somebody's telling you, oh, well, you can't put that in your food, and you can't do that because that's going to take you off this path or whatever. If it's going to help you to stay on the path, always listen to yourself. And even praying helps. I pray because I feel like no human being knows everything. This lifestyle is not God. God is God. There is only one God, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. Other than that, people are just, other people can help you. People are there to help other people, but you take what you like and leave the rest to your body and your higher spirit to lead you to the right things. And I think it's important to follow people. I think it's important to have a few different people that you listen to, but I don't think that it's very good to get wrapped up in somebody, and don't put somebody in a godly position that you think that they know everything, because nobody is God. So that is what I think is important for number 2, is listening to your body. And then for number 3, I have getting enough calories. I think sometimes people don't eat enough and they can overfast, or they can go on one of these fruitivore or fruitarian things, and they're fasting and trying to do that and trying to do too many things, and it's not going to, it's going to set you up for another failure and fall down. So you need to really pay attention to these things and figure out what's right for your body. And I think that that's really, really important, is to make sure that you're getting enough of those calories and getting enough of what your body needs. You don't want to get unbalanced and sick. You want to make sure that you're eating enough to sustain yourself. And, you know, fasting is a good thing, but for some people it may not be the best thing to do right away. Maybe that's not something that could be good for a person that might be just starting out. I know I did some fasting in the beginning. It was very hard, and I did a 7-day fast, but that was after a couple of years after I was into raw, maybe close to 4 years. This was over the earlier part of the summer. That was the first time I ever did a full 7 days. But you have to make sure that you are ready for these things. You can't just do these things. And, you know, I think there's some people out there that walk around getting sick and feeling sick and allowing their bodies, because they want to look like so-and-so, or they want to do what so-and-so is doing, and they are putting way too much pressure on themselves. So I see a lot of this in, like I've said, raw veganism almost killed me, and this almost killed me, and that almost killed me, and these horror stories. And so I've always stuck with the people that are long ways into this lifestyle, that have sustained on this, because they are the ones that know how to live on this lifestyle. And I believe that I am a person that has lived on this lifestyle at this point, to where I know what stuff bothers me and what stuff doesn't bother me. And sometimes, even because if it's raw, sometimes it's not necessarily because it's raw the best for your body. And there might be so-and-so out there that might really thrive on this stuff, and you may not, if it's not good for your body. And there are a few things actually that I can't eat, like cacao powder absolutely gives me a hangover. I cannot eat that stuff at all. Even if I eat just a few cacao nibs, I notice a change in my body. It has a little bit of caffeine in it, and I don't know, it just doesn't really agree with me. But yet I've seen a lot of people out there that really do well on it, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, it's just not good for me. So realize that you don't have to eat every single thing that everybody else is eating. You don't have to try to get every single nutrient every day. You just have to listen to your body and let your body tell you what to get on a daily basis, and make sure that you are getting enough of those calories. So for number 4, I put not falling into dogma, because there's a lot going on out there in this whole world. There's a lot going on, and I've talked about this in another video. It's spiritual warfare, but the sad thing is there's warfare even in the raw food community that I see. And don't fall into that kind of dogma. Don't feel like you are doing a horrible thing if you decide that you might want to do raw till 4, raw till 5 o'clock, raw, you know, and add a cooked meal, because that might be what works for you, and it might not be what worked for somebody else. And there might be these diehard raw vegans out there that swear that, you know, if you eat one cooked thing, it's not good. And, you know, there's just a lot of different things out there. But don't fall into that stuff. Listen to your body and do what works for you. I look at things that, you know, if you are trying to get on a good, healthy lifestyle and you're eating mostly all raw, you are doing so much better than most of the world. I mean, I live in the real world. I think sometimes a lot of people, and I'm not naming anybody in particular, but I think a lot of people that might have been in the raw community for many years sometimes don't realize that most of the world is not even vegan, or much less raw vegan, and they don't really realize that most of my neighbors and people around me are living on soda and going to McDonald's and all these things on a regular basis. I mean, I see it every day. I'll run into one of my customers and I see them in the car and they just got out of the grocery store, and what's in the back seat? Loaded with all kinds of sodas and different, just living on basically really bad foods, processed foods and stuff. Not naming anybody particular, but it's just people all over that pretty much that are around me. There's not really people that even think about becoming vegan, or a lot of them don't even know what it is, to be honest with you, what a vegan means. So that's pretty much where my world is. So when I see people putting down people that are doing other things, and they maybe adding supplements, and oh, they're not supposed to add supplements, that's bad, your body's not gonna, the main thing is just don't get caught up in all of that stuff, because that is the dogma that will kill somebody or cause somebody to fail, I feel. So I think that that's important, is to not get caught up in that, and to just realize that when you're on a raw vegan lifestyle and you do the right things, you are going to feel better, and your body is going to feel better, and it will show on the outside, and you can always get better as you go along. You don't have to worry about some people get a long ways into their career in this lifestyle and they start eating a little bit more cooked food. They decide that after 20 something years. And other people are people who might go the opposite way. The longer they go, the more raw they get, and that might be working for them. There's just so many different things that you see. But what I really hate to see is when people are putting down other people that are trying to do good in their life. And, I have seen some people on networks that used to be more whole foods that have started adding more supplements. And there's a lot of controversy about, oh my God, that person's adding these horrible, maybe supplements that aren't raw and all these things. And, but the thing is that why judge that person? I mean, that person might have a reason why they decided to add supplements, and nobody knows that there might become a time in your life, even if it's 5 or 10 years from now, that you might live on whole foods and then decide to live on more supplements, because maybe that person was not getting, maybe they came to a point in their raw veganism where they felt like they needed more, and they found something that helps, and they're still trying to live on a lot of raw whole foods and adding a little bit of supplements. So, I think that stuff is really bogus when that goes on, and I think that it's important to know not to fall into those traps, and to just be happy that you are succeeding on this, and to keep looking at more different people, following more people that have different ideas that will help you to make more raw dishes and put together things that are going to make you like what you're eating and be satiated with what you're eating. And I just think that that is what is important in that. So, that just goes under the headline of listening to other people and doing your own research. I think it's important to kind of research, and I know there'll always be someone that will say, well, how do you know that that research is right? Well, just test things on yourself. Keep reading, keep you know, when something happens that you feel like, gosh, I'm just not, something's not right or something, and maybe this particular thing that you've been adding to your diet doesn't seem to be working, read a little bit about it and find out. Maybe that's something, even in a raw food lifestyle, that you may have to eliminate from your lifestyle. I had to do it with a couple of things. And in the very beginning, I went through such heavy detoxing that I didn't know what might have been making me sick and what wasn't. And I found out that, you know, cashews kind of make me feel bloated. And, you know, that some things I've been really trying to get more right now toward more whole foods and getting rid of some of the things that I was doing that are accepted in the raw food community, but I just don't want to use as much of it as I was using before. I've tried to eliminate salts and using more dulse and different things like that. At one point, I got too salty. At one point, in the very beginning, I was eating sugar and cacao. I was detoxing so much I wouldn't have even known that cacao was making me sick back then, about 4 years ago. But now I'm more in tune with my body through this in 4.5 years now, that I can really tell, because I feel so good now all the time, that I can actually tell when something is bothering me, and I could test it out because I've eliminated so many things from my diet that gave me problems, especially just becoming raw vegan and getting rid of dairy and all that other stuff, that I can really kind of pin things down a lot better now. So it's important, and it's important to make sure that you have enough B12. And there'll be some people that might tell you, oh, don't eat nutritional yeast, that bloats you, that's not good, you know, and that might be something that might work for you in your salads, and you know, and it will give you the nutrients that you need, or you may need to buy a supplement for B12. I know that's something that a lot of people have had trouble with, and the D vitamins, and like I talked about earlier, the omegas, and that's really important. So I think that all these things are really important to be able to sustain on this lifestyle in a good way, and figure out that you don't need all these things, and you don't need meats, and you don't need these cancer causing. I see things, and it's just really hard for me to handle when people say, well, you know, I hope that person realizes that they need to eat meat. And you don't need to have meat. You can live a very healthy life without meat, and a much healthier life for that matter. So those are the things that I feel that is really important to know, so that you can succeed. I want people to succeed on this lifestyle. I want people to feel as good as I feel, because I have a much better life now that I have found out what to do to make myself healthy. And I am constantly learning more, and I'm constantly feeling better and better. Right now, I'm going through a phase where I just feel really good. I've been feeling good, but I have this calmness over me for some reason, this really calm feeling. And, you know, I don't know. It's just really great to be able to keep growing on this and to feel better and better. And I just want people to, before they make decisions about what they want to give up on this lifestyle or anything, to please look into these things and do research and pray. I'm such a believer in prayer. And don't depend on other people. Depend on God. Depend on your spiritual higher being to help you in this journey. And that's what has worked for me. And you can still follow people, and you can still listen to other people and find out different things that people know. Different people have different knowledge. But when somebody is not making you feel good anymore and you feel like you are losing control, get away from that person. The Lord always tells us that when something is wrong, turn your cheek. Turn your cheek at bad vibrations, bad things. That try to keep on that positive all the time, and I feel that you will succeed and be healthy and happy on this raw vegan lifestyle. And I'm just going to close with that, and I'm going to read this, and this is out of Galatians chapter 1 verse 9, and it says, "We do not cease to pray for you and ask that you may be filled with knowledge of His will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding." If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and have a wonderful day.